7, beginning with verse 36. One of the Pharisees desired him that he would eat with him, and he went into the Pharisee's house and sat down to eat. And behold, a woman in the city, which was a sinner, when she knew that Jesus sat at meat in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster box of ointment, and stood at his feet behind him weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and did wipe them with her hair, with the hairs of her head, and kissed his feet, and anointed them with the ointment. Now when the Pharisee which had bidden him saw it, he spake within himself, saying, This man, if he were a prophet, would have known who and what manner of woman this is that toucheth him, for she is a sinner. And Jesus answering said unto him, Simon, I have somewhat to say unto thee. And he said, Master, say on. There was a certain creditor which had two debtors. The one owed 500 pence and the other 50. And when they had nothing to pay, he frankly forgave them both. Tell me, therefore, which of them will love him most? Simon answered and said, I suppose that he to whom he forgave most. And he said unto him, Thou hast rightly judged. And he turned to the woman and said unto Simon, Seest thou this woman? I entered into thine house. Thou gavest me no water for my feet, but she hath washed my feet with tears, and wiped them with the hairs of her head. Thou gavest me no kiss, but this woman since the time I came in hath not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil thou didst not anoint, but this woman hath anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. And he said unto her, Thy sins are forgiven. And they that sat at meat with him began to say within themselves, Who is it that forgiveth sins also? And he said unto the woman, Thy faith hath saved thee. Go in peace. And the church said amen. Amen. At the feet of Jesus. Those who have been with us the last 3 Sundays know that we saw the illustration from the scripture concerning Mary, the sister of Martha. We saw in Luke chapter number 10 that Mary sat at the feet of Jesus to hear his words, to be taught of him. And then in John chapter 11, we see that Mary fell at the feet of Jesus to lean on him. And then in chapter 12, we saw that Mary anointed the feet of the Lord to show and express her love towards him. Well, today we have a similar but different narrative that if we walk through it and ask the Lord to help us, I do believe that he will give us an additional perspective of what it means to then be at the feet of the Lord. In the text, we have front and center Pharisees. Pharisees were the religious formalists. They were the persons who thought that they controlled, along with the chief priests, they thought that they controlled worship. And clearly, God and God alone is to be worshiped. And each believer has to understand what it is that God requires of him or her in terms of worship. And so the Pharisees, though, always took issue with Jesus because Jesus included folk that the Pharisees left out. There were certain people that the Pharisees determined, and these were called the publicans and the sinners. The publicans were the people who worked for the Roman government, that the religious elite thought that they were ultimately sellouts, and so they had nothing to do with them. And then there were the sinners that These were the folk that just did wrong, did wrong, did wrong, did wrong. And so they categorized people. They put them in a particular box called, publicans and sinners, and then criticized Jesus for interacting with publicans and sinners. And yet the message of Christ in the scripture clearly is that he came to seek and to save those that were lost. And so then it just makes sense, don't it, that Jesus Christ would deal with or interact with those who were the publicans and the sinners. But the religious establishment, and if you allow me, the people who would go to church, they were church goers, but they didn't have Christ in their heart. Y'all with me today, church? They went to a building, but Christ wasn't in their heart. Because when Christ is in your heart, then those who come to the building with you, you won't look at them out the corner of your eye. You won't look at them funny. But for those who are the religious, they call themselves the religious elite, those who are the holier than thou group. Certain folk you just don't want next to you. Say amen. So then here it was a Pharisee of all the people in the world that would invite Jesus to come to their house. Normally you wouldn't expect a Pharisee to invite Jesus, because after all, he's been contaminated because he's been hanging out with the publicans and the sinners. And so now as we move through the passage, it gives us to know that the Pharisee had something up his sleeve. Even though he invited the Lord, he clearly wasn't interested in being hospitable to the Lord when he invited him. Stay with me, and I'm going to come back to that point. Now, they get to the house, and then the scripture says Jesus sits down to meet, and a woman in the city, which was a sinner, when she knew Jesus sat at meat in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster box of ointment. Y'all walking with me, church? Here is a woman that now everybody in town know her business. Amen. And everybody know that she's not quite the type that you would even invite to come to your house. But watch this. When she heard, now Jesus accepted the invitation of a man who really, by all accounts, didn't even want the Lord there. But he gave him the invitation. And now this woman hears that Jesus is sitting in a Pharisee's house, and the Bible says she had the nerve to walk up in that man's house. That took a little bit of nerve. Crashed the party at a Pharisee's house. But now she didn't just show up. The Bible says she stood at the Lord's feet, behind him weeping, and began to wipe his feet with the hairs of her head, with the tears and the hairs of her head, and kiss his feet, and anoints him with the ointment. Now, back to the Pharisee. Pharisees see this going on up in his house. Bible says, when he saw it, he spake within himself. Here's what he said. This man, speaking of Jesus, if he were a prophet, would have known who and what manner of woman this is that touches him, for she's a sinner. Amen. See, if Jesus was a prophet, and if he, according to the standard set by the Pharisees, was going to come and represent God Almighty, then how could he allow himself to be contaminated by such a woman. That's how he's thinking within himself. Jesus answering said, Simon, I want to talk to you about something. Question, how does Jesus know what that man thinking in his mind and in his heart? Church, your attitude, yes sir, yes, your body language says a whole lot about what's going on the inside of you. It's not just the word that you speak out of your mouth. Have y'all ever been around some folk that they say, that's when they say, oh, everything all right, but just how they say it lets you know something is amiss. Because if everything is all right, you wouldn't be frowning. If everything was all right, you wouldn't be so sharp with your answer. If everything was all right, I'll say amen in here today. Your attitude toward other folk that you don't like, even when you are not aware of it, will often speak so loud. Let me share this with you real quick. My wife and I, we were headed to a place, and she wanted to stop and get some pastries. And there wasn't much parking. So I said, well, let me let you out, and I will try to find a parking space, which happened to be way down there around the corner. That's all right. So she had already gone into the shop. So I came down the sidewalk, same way that she did, and went into the shop. She bought what she wanted and came out of the shop. On the way to the car, I asked her, I said, did the people who were sitting on the sidewalk, this little sidewalk cafe, did they look at you funny when you walked in? They looked at me real funny. Like, what was I doing there? And you know what? She said she got the same impression. They did not say a word, but how they looked at us when we walked down the sidewalk said a whole lot. Now I said that to get to this point because let me just, for the sake of discussion, presume that they were ungodly folk and thought that they were entitled to the sidewalk and the pastry shop all by themselves. Let's just assume that. I can understand why unsaved people act like that. I don't understand. Yes, sir. That when it comes to the house of the Lord, there might be somebody in here you don't want to sit there. I don't get that. I don't get that because all of us say that we sons and daughters of the Lord. Brothers and sisters in the Lord. Love each other in the Lord. And yet, somebody, and I don't know about who, but somebody will be very upset if right now I ask you to change seats from where you're sitting right now and sit next to somebody else. You'll go to rumbling and what you got to do that for? He ain't just going up there and preach and sit down. Well, your attitude, your behavior about not wanting to sit next to somebody comes across loud and clear. You need to look in the mirror. Simon, listen to this. There was a man, creditor, and there were two people who owed him. And one owed him 500 and the other owed him 50. But here's the key. Neither one of them had it to pay.
Yes, sir. Amen.
Neither of them could pay their debt. And the creditor forgave both of them. So both of them have been the recipients of a measure of mercy and grace. Now, Simon, which one do you think that if that situation occurred would be happiest and love the most? He said, well, I suppose that it would be the one who had been forgiven the most. Thou hast rightly judged, the Lord responds. Now, look what happens. Jesus turned, follow this closely, church. Jesus turned to the woman and started talking to Simon. He's looking at her, but he's talking to him. Simon, you gave me no kiss, but this woman, since the time I came in, have not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil thou didst not anoint, but this woman hath anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sin. Now remember, this is the man who's talking about all of what her business is. She's a sinner, and everybody knows her sinful business. But listen to what the Lord said about it. This woman, her sins, which are many, are forgiven. For she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. He then turns to her and says this. In the midst of a Pharisee's house, in the midst of folk sitting around thinking they know all her business. Listen to what the Lord said about it. Thy sins are forgiven. And y'all know that kind of church crowd that comes on that Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Look at the next verse.
Yes, sir.
These folk now who sit there, eat at the table, say, who can forgive sin? He got the audacity to tell that woman that her sins are forgiven. And the Bible says this. Jesus then said to the woman, ain't paying them any attention. And aren't you glad about that? That when the Lord talking to you, he's not paying attention to that foolishness and nonsense that folk have going on. But if you ain't careful, even when you in church, there's some folks who will try to distract you from what God is saying to you. He says to her, that faith has saved thee. Go in peace. Here's the closing, church. 2 quick points. Point number one, as I went through the text, I'm trying to figure out, the Bible says that she stood at his feet, behind him. A willingness to submit to his leadership. But she didn't just stand there. There was something going on in her that caused her to begin weeping, crying. Now she had to be boo-hoo crying. get enough tears for her tears to then literally wash his feet. She then uses her hair from her head, which don't cause anybody a trip or a cost to the beautician or barbershop. See, if you want to criticize yourself. Don't criticize what don't cost you anything. When you look and see that she used what she had to use. The Bible said Jesus told Simon, look, you didn't even give me some water to anoint my head. And yet she took costly perfume and didn't apply it to his head, but she used it on his feet. What's going on in her heart? Compare that to Simon, that would invite the Lord to his house and be so inhospitable.
Yes, sir.
Now, before you get too hard on Simon, let's look at us.
Yes, sir.
Because even here, we say that we have invited the Lord to come in. We even sing songs like, come by here, oh Lord, come by here, oh Lord, come by here. We sing, come to the house, Lord. But do we find ourselves behaving like Simon, asking the Lord to come, but then want to do things our way and not give in to the Spirit of God and obey God and just express our love to Him? Your house, your address, where you live. You ought to want the Lord to come to your house. But if you're going to ask the Lord to come to your house, then let Him be God. Don't sit there when the Lord gets to your house and then you start talking when you get home today about everything bad that happened in church today. Y'all finish that. So there's some folk who come to church on Sunday that by the time they get home, they got a list of everything that they think went wrong in church on Sunday. I know I'm right about it. I'm going to preach it. They think that they know better about everybody else did. Instead of falling down on their knees and saying, Lord, work on me. Lord, do something in my heart. Lord, do something in my life. So here it is, church. I believe. Everybody was looking at what the lady used to be. But the Lord saw her for who He was going to make her to be. Can anybody say you ain't there yet? But the Lord working on you. Here she is. Willie. And I get back to what was it that caused her to cry like that? I couldn't really come up with an answer out of the text. But I put myself in the text. And that's why I say to you, church, always put yourself in God first. There's some things, y'all. Every now and then, when I start to think about what the Lord had brought me through, I started out with just a little. But then I keep thinking about how God didn't just do that for me, but He done so much more for me. That I didn't even have to be here today. Had it not been for the mercy and the grace of the Lord.
think about it,